The Honorable Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, as we debate this motion, it's important to remember the purpose behind the introduction of that maize subsidy, because that seems sometimes to be getting lost in the discussions. That because of prolonged droughts last year, towards the end of the year, the government of the day noted that the prices of unga were rising all the way beyond 200 shillings per 2 kilogram packet. And so the government made a decision, which in my opinion was a very, very decent decision to support the Kenyan public by subsidizing that product, so that the prices were actually targeted to go down to 100 shillings. So the idea was a noble idea. The idea was a brilliant idea, and I think the government was showing that it has a heart, and the government cares for the people of the country. So, Mr. Speaker, the first thing we need to clear is that the idea was good. But, Mr. Speaker, what has happened is that despite a brilliant idea, there is so much agony. There is agony to the people that supplied these maize. In fact, Mr. Speaker, Section 43 of the committee report indicates to us that some of the millers are saying, due to the non-payment, they are suffering, facing closure due to the debt burden. Some of them have lost jobs. There is operational losses. There are broken families, Mr. Speaker, broken families as a result of non-payment. And then, of course, finally, they say that they have reduced faith in government, Mr. Speaker, because they did a deal, a contract with government, and were not paid. And you know, Mr. Speaker, we must make it very clear that government exists in perpetuity. Government does not exist because somebody is in the office of the president. The office of the president can change hands. The leadership of the country in terms of political parties can change hands, but government exists in perpetuity. And these people that supplied have the right to be paid. And I'm happy that finally the committee is also seeing some sense in some of them being paid, although there is still a lot of opaqueness within the whole deal. Mr. Speaker, I sympathize with the committee because the committee actually was trying to squeeze, I think, water out of a rock. Because, Mr. Speaker, they have conflicting details from every organization that came to them. The Ministry of Agriculture, the Cereal Millers Association, the Grain Millers Grain Mill Owners Association, and all of them were giving different figures. And Mr. Speaker, that tells me that there is a problem. It makes me smell a rat in the whole of this deal. Because, Mr. Speaker, Article 10 of the Constitution is very clear about the issue on values and principles of good governance. One of the most important tenets is the issue of transparency and accountability, Mr. Speaker, and also public participation and involvement of the public. Mr. Speaker, there is too much opaqueness in this whole deal that I feel that there are people who are trying to hide information so that they could gain. Mr. Speaker, this matter is a straightforward matter. I mean, Mr. Speaker, look at it this way. The Ministry of Agriculture decided that they will procure maize flour for purposes of bringing down the price. Mr. Speaker, all they needed to tell us is who did they contract, how much was supplied, what was the supply price, what was paid or who was paid, and who has not been paid. But when we come here, it is, CMA are giving a figure, GMOA are giving a figure, the ministry is sometimes almost acting fluid, AFA is also not giving their own figures. Mr. Speaker, it is so unfortunate. And so that tells me that there must be some greed and some corruption that took place within this deal. That clearly must be what has happened, Mr. Speaker, because when you find that there is opaqueness in the information that is being shared, it means somebody somewhere was benefiting and they did not want that to come out. But, Mr. Speaker, it was surprising that the Grain Miller Owners Association, they are saying that when they were supplying, they did not supply to the value chain, so it didn't even end up in the shops. In fact, it is so shocking because I've seen Section 55 says that they were supplying their neighbors. Who are their neighbors? And how was that being accountable? Mr. Speaker, this thing is so unfortunate, but I want to say that the idea was brilliant. If we ever go back to doing some subsidy program, we must think through from the beginning till the end so that we can have some efficiency.
No, I'll allow Honorable Mbui 1 more minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I was saying it's important that as we are dealing with these things, let us find a way that we can slay this dragon called corruption. Mr. Speaker, I think that's basically the bottom line in the whole of this arrangement. Let us deal with corruption. Let us have an effective government dealing with corruption. Let us have an executive that cares for the people so that Kenya can move forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
In listening to the chairman of the committee and the second of the motion, you see or you hear undertones of something wrong done, but you don't see it in the recommendations. This chance goes to the Honorable Indikiri Mugambi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was waiting for this report like any other member of parliament, but I issue congratulatory notes goes to the chairman of the committee for taking a bold step to start an inquiry, because this issue of subsidy has been used by both political divines. We were looking for explanations